this conversation becomes a lot more interesting after the rookie season of a guy like CJ Stroud. I mean, he's obviously breaking into this top 5 quarterback range in Dynasty Fantasy Football. I've even seen a lot of dissent of opinion on Joe Burrow after another injury-plagued season. So we've got some change up here at a lot of different positions at the quarterback. So that's what we're going through today. We're sorting through the top 12 quarterback rankings in Dynasty Fantasy Football. And of course, this is a new channel exclusively for Dynasty Fantasy Football. So please go down there, drop a like on this video, and subscribe to the channel to show your support if you get value from this video today. So let's go ahead and dive into these rankings right now. So this first tier right here, I don't think that there needs to be much of a discussion of an argument here. The top tier is hosted by 2 guys. You've got Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills and Patrick Mahomes of the Kansas City Chiefs. They're 2 of the best 3 quarterbacks in the league, depending on how you feel about guys like Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson. You know, those types of guys obviously can throw a wrench as far as your top quarterbacks in the league, not just in Dynasty Fantasy Football. But here's what we need to just agree on, right? They're both in the prime of their career. Josh Allen's 27, Patrick Mahomes is 28. Now, Josh Allen, if I'm building a real football team, I would not prefer him over Patrick Mahomes. But of course, this is fantasy football, and this is Dynasty Fantasy Football. So when I can get a quarterback who's the same age as Patrick Mahomes and has good weapons as well, probably better than Patrick Mahomes, but not quite as good of an offensive system, obviously that becomes, a question to discuss, right? Because that's the only thing with Josh Allen. You can look at the numbers on the screen, see what he's doing on a per game basis. It's obviously incredible. So Josh Allen was and is going to continue to be very good in Dynasty. And then Patrick Mahomes, he's elite. He's the modern day GOAT, and he is clearly the best quarterback in the entire league. And I think the good thing that we're going to see here is that I think he's going to get some more weapons this offseason. Whether or not it's through free agency or through the draft, that's up for debate. We'll find that out over the next month, see what they do in free agency. And I guarantee you, if they don't do anything in free agency, they'll do something in the draft. They know they need more weapons, especially at the wide receiver position for Patrick Mahomes. But the good thing about Mahomes is that we're looking at a guy who is just seriously just going to continue to get you 20 points a game at the very least for the next 5 years at the very least. At number 3, kicking off the next tier, I've got Joe Burrow, 1 spot over Jalen Herz. So Joe Burrow, I know that we're going to have some dissent of opinion here. Please let me know what you think about Joe Burrow's dynasty value in the comments. Because again, there's a lot of questions on Joe Burrow, and they're rightfully so. The guy he's had 2 injury-plagued seasons now, right? So his rookie year, he came out and, got a brutal ACL tear against the Washington Commanders, at the time Washington football team. Second year takes him to the Super Bowl. Third year takes him to the conference championship. And then this past year, obviously the elbow injury. So this guy is not exactly a beacon of health. And he's 27 years old right now. So a lot of people, I think, are wondering, is the window starting to close on this guy? I don't think it is. I think Joe Burrow's a winner. I've been a big fan of Joe Burrow for a long time. And listen, just look at the numbers right here. Like, this guy is hitting the metrics you want to see. His completion percentage is basically 67%. His yards per game, he's getting about 20 to 30 yards less than Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. This guy is a very, very good quarterback with also the propensity for big games like those other guys have. And then Jalen Herz, same type of deal. Propensity for big games is absolutely there. And obviously, unlike Mahomes and unlike Joe Burrow, well, he's like Josh Allen in the sense that he can get you, 10 to 15 rushing touchdowns every single year just through the tush push. Now, whether or not that the NFL ends up outlawing that this offseason, kind of expecting they will, that might change some things with Jalen Herz, because that's a lot of the time that he scores touchdowns. He's still very mobile, and he's still at a very young age too, which is very positive. He's 25 years old, and listen, I have noted in this offseason, I do have concerns about Jalen Herz. I do wonder if he has another down season is he going to be the quarterback of the future? I know that sounds ridiculous, right? He's under a long contract, lots of guaranteed money. Listen, this league is moving faster and faster. This league is becoming less patient, and especially Philadelphia's owner, he's more aggressive than probably 80% of the owners in the league. So I wouldn't be surprised if Jalen Hurts has another down season. We could be looking at some instability here, but I'm going to bank on Jalen Hurts being a better player this year because I do believe in the player. And then CJ Stroud at number 5 and Lamar Jackson at number 6, rounding out this tier number 2. CJ Stroud is the big name to talk about. So let's discuss. So CJ Stroud obviously had one of the better rookie seasons any quarterback has had in recent memory. CJ Stroud breaking it down on a per game basis and on a per season basis. He had basically a 64% completion percentage, and that's not a bad number. That's not the greatest number though. That we want to see that be higher. And I do think it will be higher as he gets a full off season under his belt. And he's going to get more comfortable in this league as well. And he's obviously a very accurate thrower. So I do believe that number's going to go up. Yards per game is in the range of Mahomes and Allen. So we know this guy can sling it all over the field all day long. He's very much an efficient quarterback as well. He's throwing very few interceptions per game. There's a lot of things to like here. He's got weapons. Nico Collins, Tank Dell. Let's see if they do anything else in the free agency or in the draft. I kind of believe they will. I really like CJ Stroud one spot over Lamar just because of the age factor. CJ Stroud's 22 years old. So if everything goes right, we could have CJ Stroud dominating as a top 5 dynasty quarterback for the next 10 years. Lamar Jackson, he's 27. It's not old, but he has a much different playing style. That's the problem with Lamar. Is this guy has already been injured, several seasons out of his career as well. It's not just like guys like Joe Burrow. Lamar Jackson's had injuries too. So with the playing style that he has, how long is it realistically he holds up? I'm sure there's going to be people in the comments arguing that this guy's going to play well into his mid-30s. I'm not necessarily going to buy that. Think about Cam Newton. Cam Newton cratered in his early 30s, and he had a very similar playing style. Lamar doesn't take quite as many hits because he's not as big. And I think he's a little smarter of a player than a guy like Cam Newton was. But Lamar Jackson, obviously the numbers speak for themselves. I do worry about his future and his longevity in the NFL. That's why I would prefer a guy who's 5 years younger with CJ Stroud over a guy like Lamar Jackson. At number 7 and number 8, I've got Justin Herbert and Anthony Richardson. Justin Herbert, I think, is very, very fluid right now. I could easily see myself ranking Justin Herbert inside of, honestly, the top 5 if he meshes really well with Jim Harbaugh. I think that's going to play a major role in Justin Herbert's development as a player. I do believe that Harbaugh's a good coach, period, but I think he will be a good coach for Justin Herbert specifically. And the reason why I believe that is because think about all the coaches that Herbert has walked through. Herbert has had garbage. He's had so many coaching changes from head coach to offensive coordinator throughout his entire career with the Chargers. This is the first year that he's going to get stability. And Justin Herbert, we already know what he can do. He can do 65% completion percentage, 250 passing yards a game. This guy has all the talent in the world. They need to upgrade some weapons, I think. But I tell you what, Justin Herbert, if he has a good season this year, absolutely could see Justin Herbert rising up. And Anthony Richardson, I love this guy. I mean, seriously, I really wish I could rank him higher. You can't do that though because of the injury, right? And it's not just any injury either. My only problem with Anthony Richardson is the fact that it was a shoulder injury. Everybody gets injured, right? We were just talking about Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson. Injuries happen. The problem with Anthony Richardson is his playing style, what he showed in the small sample size. This guy wants to be physical. That's a little tough to coach out of a player sometimes. So I worry about him on that. Now, and I also highlighted this. This is a more minor concern because I actually do think with time, they'll iron this out more. I highlighted before Anthony Richardson got drafted in 2023 how abysmal his completion percentage was in college. It was horrific. It was like mid-50s, like 56, 55. 59.5% completion percentage is not good enough. If he does not raise that number, he will not be their quarterback of the future in Indianapolis, which will be a crying shame because they have the coach in place. Shane Steichen is a great offensive mind. And that's why I do believe in Anthony Richardson long term, because I do believe that the more time he gets to work with Richardson, I think the more he'll clean his game up. But if he can't, even if he cleans his game up, if he doesn't stop viewing himself as a running back, he's going to have a shortened career. So those are my problems with Anthony Richardson. Trevor Lawrence at 9 and Jordan Love at 10. Trevor Lawrence, I actually think, now that I think more about it, is kind of a hot button guy as well. Trevor Lawrence coming off, theoretically, it wasn't the worst season. Like, obviously, guys like Sam Howell, guys like, there's a lot of guys in the league. Desmond Ridder are worse than Trevor Lawrence. But based on what Trevor Lawrence did in 2022, we were all expecting a leap in the right direction in 2023. He actually did the opposite. He took a step back. Trevor Lawrence was still not horrific. 65% completion percentage, 251 yards passing a game. But this guy was way more adept to throwing interceptions. There was injuries involved, and there was a lot of inconsistent play from Trevor Lawrence. So there's a good reason why he's down here number 9. I still do believe he belongs in the top 12, though. I mean, I can't think of the guys I go behind him, right? Like guys like Jordan Love. Jordan Love, I really liked him, especially at the end of the season. But he's only got one season under his belt. Now, the reason I have Jordan Love above the last two guys that we'll go into is because I do believe in Jordan Love's coaching staff and his team around him more than I believe in the others. Trevor Lawrence, I think, is a little bit of a better talent, just a little bit, because Jordan Love is a great talent as well. Jordan Love, 64% completion percentage, could be a little better, but it wasn't a bad number. And really, these numbers don't do him justice. The back half of the year for Jordan Love were excellent. He was insane. Jordan Love, the thing I like about him is he's in a situation where he's coming back to Green Bay with the same coaching staff, the same weapons, because all of his weapons are young, aside from Aaron Jones, who they look to probably bring back. Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, Dontavian Wicks, Romeo Doubs, Luke Musgrave, Tucker Kraft, they're all young. Great offensive line in front of him. He's got a great supporting cast. So that's why I could easily see Jordan Love going up to QB7, QB8 in Dynasty if he has another strong year. The last two guys, rounding it out in the last year, Kyler Murray at 11 and Caleb Williams at 12. So Kyler Murray, the reason he's in front of Caleb is because he's just more of established. He's more established of a player. Kyler Murray is 26 years old. And listen, I will be the first to say this. I get things right, I get things wrong. It's important for me to call out the wrong when I was wrong. Transparency is important to me, and it's important to you. For a long time in 2023, the regular fantasy season was saying, do not think that this guy is locked and loaded to be the Cardinals quarterback. I said new coaching staff. They already had clauses in his contract that were very unusual. I was like, I don't think that this guy is a lock to be their quarterback in 2024. I think at this point, he's going to be the guy. He's so talented, right? From a fantasy perspective, 30 rushing yards per game. And that was in a season where he played basically half the year. Kyler Murray is in good shape. I don't worry about Kyler Murray. He's young. He's super talented. Great arm, rushing ability. Arizona just needs another weapon or two. And then to round it out at Caleb Williams, man. Listen, there was a lot of guys I was considering here. I was thinking of Brock Purdy. I was thinking about Dak Prescott, Tua. I was thinking about Justin Fields. Caleb Williams, I have him at 12 because he's going to be the number 1 pick. So if nothing else, that ensures stability for his first 4 years at least, unless he completely craters. And I think that he was if we want to look back at the past couple quarterbacks who have cratered and just completely fell out of favor in their own locker room by the team that drafted them, let's look back at him. Zach Wilson, absolutely horrific throughout his career so far, and was not as surefire of a prospect as Caleb Williams is. Trey Lance, same type of deal. Barely got much of an opportunity, but that's because San Francisco hated what they saw in practice. This guy was anything but a surefire prospect. Caleb Williams is more of a sure prospect. He's probably the best quarterback prospect we have seen. He's not in the Trevor Lawrence class with like Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck, but he's in the Joe Burrow class, just a tier below, where it's like almost perfect. You can't poke any holes. You can poke some holes in Caleb, but you have to try hard, and it might sound a little ridiculous. I think Caleb Williams, even in Chicago, if they end up picking him, they're going to be committed to him because I don't think that he's going to completely bust. I think he's too talented to do that. I think he's going to struggle in Chicago, but I think that Caleb Williams just has more upside than a guy like Brock Purdy, a guy like Dak, and a guy like Tua Tagovailoa. As always, let me know what you think of these rankings in the comments below and what questions you need answered for 2024 Dynasty Fantasy Football. And if you want to see the top 12 tight end rankings in Dynasty, click on this video right here.